How could Nazi killers shoot Jewish women and children at close range? Why did Japanese soldiers rape and murder on such a horrendous scale? How was it possible to endure the torment of a Nazi death camp? For nearly 20 years, I have tried to answer these and many other similar questions by meeting hundreds of people who participated in World War II. I was particularly interested in the motivation of the perpetrators, the people who committed atrocities, though I also met many of their victims and others who faced difficult, sometimes impossible decisions during the war. In the course of my work, I traveled from Japan to the Baltic States, from Poland to America, from Germany to Borneo, and from Italy to China. I encountered rapists, murderers, and cannibals. I talked to soldiers who acted heroically, survivors of the worst atrocities imaginable, even a man who shot little children. Each of the hundreds of interviews was filmed, and each encounter lasted several hours. I used some of this interview material in a series of television documentaries I wrote and produced about the war, and in the accompanying books, but an enormous amount of historical information remained unpublished. So I decided to study, carefully, once again, the more than 7 million words of interview transcript and write a series of essays about the 35 most extraordinary people I met on my travels. This approach has enabled me to include in the previously published stories information that has not been made public before, and to add several new interviews which appear here in book form entirely for the first time. Notably my encounters with Hiroo Onoda, Nigel Nicholson, Marie Platonov, Fritz Hippler, and Christina Soderbaum. This fresh format also allowed me to offer an insight into my own personal encounters with all of these interviewees, which the previous narrative form prevented. Over the years, as I questioned people who had been tested in ways that I had never been, I also felt questions asked of myself. And the one question that I believed I had to address more than any other was simple. What would I have done in similar circumstances? Of course, I could not know for certain. Had I been in those circumstances all those years ago, then I would not have been the identical person I am today, since we are all shaped so much by the times in which we live. But in order to read any history, we have to imagine what the past was like, and create once again the circumstances in which historical characters lived. And by a similar act of imagination, we can surely place ourselves in history and ask what kind of person we would have become in that situation, and consequently, what choices we might have exercised. The past is not some alien world. They may have done things differently there, but that is because the circumstances were different, not because human beings and their fundamental needs and motivations were different. The physiology of the human mind has not changed over the last few thousand years, certainly not since World War II, and so the dilemmas and challenges faced in this book were faced by people essentially like us, indeed by our parents and grandparents. I believe there is consequently a great deal we can learn about ourselves by asking, what would we have done?